Classic League Podcast time! Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 263 of the Classic Elite Podcast. My name is Scott. I've got Dustin with me. Dustin, do you remember how to do this?
I like to think of it as a delayed release. So this is going to be like the Mario Galaxy of podcasts.
Okay. All right. The last couple of weeks were the Wii U. No one had it anyways.
Right.
So, yeah, apologize, everybody. We've had a couple of weeks off. It was unplanned.
Mm-hmm.
1 week we had an illness.
Yeah.
How much do you want to get into the plumbing situation you had?
Oh, it looked a lot worse than it was.
Okay.
But at the same time, it really sucks not having a kitchen sink that you can use because it wasn't draining at all. But we got a plumber in there because I tried snaking it myself to no luck. And plumber got in there, got it all unclogged. We're good to go.
Did he giggle? Did he find like a Sonic the Hedgehog action figure down in your sink or something?
I wish. That would have been awesome. But no, just random crud that we throw down the drain.
It's just coffee grounds, man. I tell you every week, put them in the trash. Don't put them down the sink.
I blame Kim. She always throws food in the garbage disposal.
So you're probably getting like fat buildup and stuff in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and last night we were about to record, and then I thought I had my identity stolen. So
yeah.
Luckily, crisis averted. Someone with the same name as me signed up for DirecTV in Minnesota. So all clear. But yeah, we're back, and we're going to talk about some video games. There has, despite the break, not been a lot of news. Luckily, Dustin and I have both been playing a lot of really good video games, so we have some excellent stuff to talk about. It's going to be difficult platforming heaven here for a good 20 minutes of the show. We got Thomas Silverfang. Good to see you again, man. Haven't seen you in chat in a while, so thanks for stopping by. Which game did he win? I forget which one it was. He was one of the game winners we gave away last year. I forget which one.
I can't remember.
We just give away so many. I wish that was the case. That would be cool. So one quick announcement. We are no longer going to be on Podbean because they don't have a free version anymore. And we don't have enough listeners to justify the cost over at that platform. And based on our statistics, no one over there is really going to miss us. So shouldn't be a problem. But I don't know if you were considering going over that way. Unfortunately, we're not going to be over there. I am looking at some other syndication stuff, but work's been crazy, so I haven't had enough time to sit down and dedicate that stuff. Oh, it was Hob. That's right. He got Hob. Rest in peace, Hob. I was just thinking about that game the other day.
Man, I forgot about that game completely.
Yeah, it's a good game. So, if you'd like to join us in chat, Dustin shares the news stories that we discuss. So if you would like to follow along in the most recent gaming news and comment, or if you'd like a story covered, you can join us in chat Wednesday nights. That is around 8:15 Eastern time. Normally Wednesday nights again. We're going to have to stress that. Normally Wednesdays. And you can have us talk about whatever you'd like, or leave things in the comments and we'll cover those as well. So.
And I share the link to the end song.
That's right. So you can always hear what will eventually be edited in. Which I had to go with Cubby again this week. I'm getting hyped, man. It's got an album in a few weeks. Although there's been some really good chiptune that showed up in our SoundCloud feed. Them Not You had some good stuff come out. IU Shut Duff is now known as Blue Navi, but just released a song called Replicant. That was really good.
Cool.
And I still can't stop thinking about Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, I saw that.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Did you like it more than the first one?
A lot more.
Did it make you appreciate the first one a little more?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I had all those same effects too. I've been really enjoying looking at explanation videos from YouTube, like analyzing.
Hmm.
And what I've loved about Blade Runner, I've seen it 2.5 times now. And I say half because I just play it in the background.
Hmm.
Every time I find a plot hole, I'm able to. It makes sense. They actually did explain it, and I've missed it before. It's been really hard for me to find things that don't add up. It's because I missed it that it didn't make sense the first time.
That's cool.
Which has been very fun. Arrival was a lot like that. So I have not seen Sicario yet, and that's another
Oh, it's great.
good movie from same director. So
Yeah.
and it's free on or included with my Prime subscription. So that's on my to watch list here soon. So yeah. Oh, we got Zarek, dude. Good to see you. He said, I tried to raid you, but the internet went out like a half second before. Oh, that's a bummer. The internet is punishing us for taking a couple weeks off. Maybe we deserve it. So,
Yeah.
good. I'm glad you enjoyed Blade Runner as well. Zarek, let us know if you've seen it.
It was really good.
So that was, I really...
Like, almost 3 hours long, and I was just like, yeah, I'm totally down this whole time.
Yeah, and it's just so gorgeous to look at. I know some people have talked about some shots lasting a little too long, but I was drinking it in. There were some really cool effects. Excellent movie. And if you're bored, if you've watched your YouTube subscription, Dustin, start looking at explanations in Blade Runner 2049. There are really, really good videos out there about it.
Word.
So, let's talk about some gaming news stuff. First up, I got to mention the Gaming Historian released a 1-hour documentary on the history of Tetris. And every second of it is excellent. There wasn't a lot of new information in there, but it was organized in a really good way. His production value is incredible. He had animated slides in there. He had you could tell he put a lot of time into it. I was really impressed. But you have not had a chance to watch it yet?
Not yet.
But I've been kind of nerdy about Tetris. I think it's very fascinating, so I have actively seeked out a lot of videos describing it. A lot of information that is in the video probably will be new to a lot of people. It is absolutely worth checking out. It's cool. It's well presented. It's awesome. Norm Crusoe is really good. I don't know what else to say about it. So, but it's an hour. Like, an hour is a lot to commit to.
You always chunk it.
That's true. And if you, does regular YouTube keep your watch history, like how long you watch into a video, or do you need Red?
No, it keeps.
Okay.
It tracks it.
All right, that's cool. Hey, Ken, good to see you. We got Ken Myers here as well. It's excellent. It's as good as any of the videos he's ever done. It's one of his best. So, I guess I'll be buying that on Blu-ray eventually. Next in news, Red Dead Redemption finally has looks like a full release date.
Cool.
October. I've never played Red Dead Redemption.
It was fun. You could lasso people.
It was one of the neatest things I'd ever seen, though. When we first started this podcast, I was over at Tony's, and he had a projection on a blank wall, so he had a 360 projected up onto a TV, and I remember him riding a horse around, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. I didn't have any new games at that point. All I wanted to do was talk about old video games on the internet. And he's like, check out this new shit. And I'm like, wow, this is unbelievable. I always thought the poker sounded really fun. I hear that's a really good side mission thing. I don't know. You think you'll get Red Dead 2 right away? Think you'll wait for it?
Not right away. Maybe eventually. I don't know. I still have to get Just Cause 3, and that came out like 2 years ago.
I just heard someone talking about Just Cause 3. It's free somewhere. But they were kind of complaining about it. It was like, maybe it's part of the Far Cry 5 season pass.
Okay.
And that's where it was included. And they were like, yeah, that's probably the best Far Cry so far. But it's older, so how good's it going to be relative to stuff? So, Tom Silverfang asks, have you guys ever heard of someone's Steam account getting hacked? I'd have to assume that's had to have happened.
Yeah.
I can't think of a big, I don't know, not in the way you'd hear about Diablo or anything.
Right.
Or World of Warcraft, where you'd show up and all your shit's gone. What could you do with a hacked Steam account other than play the games and
gift games to somebody?
Oh, and there's definitely ways to get money out, right? With the Dota hats or whatever and the CS:GO guns.
Yeah.
So maybe if you knew a streamer that had really good skins or whatever,
Yeah.
you could sell them. No, I guess I haven't really heard of that, but it has to be a thing.
Yeah.
Maybe Valve's security is really good. I don't know. If someone hacked mine, they would just go, "Oh, another Humble Bundle fan." Like I've got the most set of common video games. It's like sports games at a yard sale. That's what my Steam account's like. Oh no! Tom Silverfang says he lost all of his games because of it. How does that happen? How do you lose your games if that happens? Like, is there no account recovery? That's weird. Steam is notorious for having terrible customer support. Except occasionally Gabe will answer someone directly. That sucks. There's got to be some repercussions. Hopefully that if that happened recently, they'll be able to fix that for you. Damn.
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
a bummer.
Dude. You know what that's like. You got all your physical games taken.
Man, if somebody emptied my Steam account, I wouldn't know what the hell I had.
I'd have a lot
They're
of
like, yeah, just remember your games that you have? No, I don't.
Yeah, there's a couple of proud achievements that I would like that would really bum me out if I lost. The fact I beat Pure Solar, I have evidence that I beat that game. That was such an intense... Oh, he's waiting on a response from Steam. Okay. Hopefully they get back to him quickly. So next up in news, what do we got here, Dustin?
Nintendo Switch services, online services, coming September of this year, 2018. And they are... See if I can remember these off the top of my head. It was $4.99 for 1 month, $9.99 for 3, and $20 for a year.
$3.99, $7.99, and $19.99. You were close.
Close.
Yeah, and it sounds like they are going to have that compilation of classic titles each month, and those are going to kind of swap around.
Yeah. Which I don't like. I don't like the swapping around part.
I would be okay with the swapping around if they gave me credit if I had purchased those previously somewhere.
And is this... I just realized I didn't really read this article too well. Is it... like they're all free and you can download them as you want to, or...
Think about it like PS Plus or Xbox Live Gold.
Oh, okay.
Except they don't stay in your account at the end of the month.
Nope. Thumbs down.
Yes. It also is part of requiring you to play, or you'll need it to play online matches as well with stuff.
I'm good.
I'm a sucker for it, dude. My Xbox Live subscription just renewed. I had no reason to... They're like, hey, your Xbox Live's going to renew. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, why? I don't know. $20 a month is a throwaway price point. Like, yeah, whatever. But there's no benefit that I'm seeing that makes it worth $20.
Yeah. So I have to pay for the virtual console, and I don't get to keep my games.
Yeah. Dustin, you're forgetting about how much you love Splatoon and how many points you've acquired on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Right.
So you need to be able to still access that stuff.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. I'll be subscribed.
I thought this was like the Netflix thing that Hugh Johnson said he would give money to Nintendo every month for the rest of his life.
No, that would be unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh no, here, Dustin. I've undersold this. Sometimes some of the games will be 16-bit. So. And, okay, to be fair, some of these games will have online multiplayer where applicable. So maybe we could play some Contra 3 Alien War together. The idea of adding multiplayer to some of these games is cool. I know emulators have kind of worked around being able to get that done. I think features added like that do make it a worthwhile subscription, but if the titles aren't there, it's really going to be tough to justify. But if they give really good treatment, I could see Nintendo actually turning it around and making it look like a good value. But I'm not impressed right now.
$20 a month, so you can buy.
No, it's not $20 a month. It's
a year. Just so you can buy like what, Wrecking Crew again,
Urban Champion.
Yeah, Super Mario Brothers OG.
They should just like, I've bought Super Mario. The first one I bought on all 3DS, DS games. If there's been Virtual Console Wii, they should give you credit for it.
Yeah,
and allow you to, if you're subscribed, at least allow you to access that. How about that as a compromise? I thought all those Virtual Classic games were the 3D classics. I thought if it was on there, it was a 3D classic. So I bought Mario 1 on the 3DS, thinking that it would
3Dify it.
Yeah, no, I was very disappointed. That was a poor $5 spent. That's one of the biggest gaming purchase regrets I've ever had.
Oh,
I was really disappointed. It was only $5, but I felt very cheated. And at that time, that game, there were still stories about when, speaking of Hugh Johnson, when he talked about working at the game shop or the electronics store, that they got in trouble at the mall because they were forcing people to take Mario Karts with them because somehow somebody accepted huge trade-in values that worked at the store, so they had an outrageous inventory of Mario Karts.
Yeah.
Something like that, and I guess people were just like throwing them in the parking lot and stuff. They were like making people take them with purchases. So, and there was a local game shop here in town that was talking about decorating their store with, like, lining the counter with those carts. So they felt like an inconvenience to have.
Yeah.
So to purchase it digitally just felt like a real kick in the teeth. Silverfang says, what upsets me is I guess it will call it an alpha code for Hunt Showdown and lost that. Oh, it must be talking about the same stuff. He said, I wish Bethesda would let them do Skyrim. Or even
putting in multiplayer.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, there's ESO. A lot of people like that. I played a couple hours of ESO.
Yeah.
I need to try that. It was only Tony hooked me up with a copy of that. Underwhelming. I thought maybe they'd have a little bit more to announce since they had delayed it so long. So, oh well.
It's a bummer.
Another bummer, potentially, will be the port of Mario Kart on mobile. You excited about that?
You know, I love Mario Kart and phone games.
Yeah, so Dustin probably, yeah. So, I don't know. I think this is an easy thing to make fun of.
Yeah.
I will definitely download it and give it a try. I like Super Mario Run, as shallow as it is. It was overpriced, but I don't know. Maybe this will have that Nintendo charm that I won't be able to dog on too much. We'll see if my Nintendo fanboyism comes out when I download that game. It's going to be like a gear shifting game, I think, maybe. Kind of like a drag race-ish thing, or I don't know. They're doing something really bare bones with it. And have there ever been any phone racing games that you've liked? Like the Asphalt series?
There was a Konami game. It was like a Konami All-Stars Racing on iPhone that I played like 2 seconds of. But that's because I could play as Dracula.
That's worth it.
Yeah.
Was it like Forza style as far as the arcadey look? Or is it more kart based?
I was definitely a kart racer.
Okay. Most of the ones I've tried have been more like a Forza, like the Asphalt series and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. Again, news is light. We've been away for a couple weeks, and these are still all the stories we got. Sorry about that.
It should be Super Mario Run, but he's just in a go-kart.
They had a really good Spider-Man game that did that, basically. It was like a Temple Run style. Is that what you mean? Like that?
I just meant like literally Super Mario Run. It's just now he's in a go-kart.
Okay. Yeah. You know, maybe we can implore Zarek or Damez to make that. Because you could make that in Mario Maker.
Oh, yeah.
Like 100%. You could just make that. This is cool. We're not going to talk about it a lot, but it has to be mentioned. I have not seen this anywhere but Reddit. Someone took the time to make Where in the World is Carmen San Diego on... I've always said Imgur. 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 Very cool. It's just hilarious. It's kind of like those... you ever seen any of those YouTube stories where you could choose your own adventure on a YouTube video?
Mm-hmm.
It's it's like that, but Imgur, and it's an original Carmen San Diego story. I think it's original.
You could always put on the theme song on YouTube.
It's kind of all you need is someone to mention the theme song, and it's going to be playing in your head the whole time. So
yeah, it's playing in my head right now.
Uh-oh. I wonder if the copyright people got them. That gallery is not working. Oh wait, no, maybe it was just a copy paste thing. Okay. It's quite a sexy Carmen San Diego.
It is.
In fact, I was like, is this going to get one of those sideways, like... I'm not... all of a sudden, I'm looking at, like, hentai porn, like, three clicks in. And maybe we are. I have not played this game. I clicked on the very first one, and it opens a new tab, and there's a ruby, and it's stolen. You can go to Brazil or South Korea. I'm like, all right, that's good enough. That's all the vetting I've done. Maybe this does get sideways on you. Apologize if that happens.
Or enjoy. Whichever way you turn.
Or you're welcome, yes. So I thought that was cool. Fun thing on the internet. So which one of these Twin Galaxy stories do you want to talk about first? Which one of these arcade legends? Steroids or...
Let's go with Todd Rogers was first, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about him first.
All right. So do you want to talk about what you know so far?
He's a big fat cheater. He was playing MAME?
No, he was just lying. Like...
Oh, right.
He just said
right. Yeah. Because they had like tool-assisted speedruns trying to replicate his scores and couldn't do it, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Like, they made it so they could show it was, like, mathematically impossible to get the score that he did. And that was for the Atari game Dragster, which is a drag race game, and all you do is shift gears. And he claimed he got a score that was mathematically impossible. And I think he's in the double digits now of scores that they're like, there's no way he did this. I heard a guy saying that The record he claimed for Splatterhouse would mean that he'd have to play the game for like 120 hours. There was I want to say he said he had like over 1 million or maybe 15 million or something crazy in Donkey Kong 3, which it was Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong 3 in the arcade, is that right?
I think so.
Or Donkey Kong Jr. 3 and I'm forgetting. Either way, whatever the third one is, the real high score is around 300,000. So people have been competing for that game, and no one's been able to get over 500,000, and he said he had like 15 million or something. So it happened on a bunch of stuff.
So are people just finally coming around and saying, like, yeah, clearly. I feel like this is the guy that people kind of turn their nose up at in like King of Kong.
Yes, who we'll be talking about in the next story.
Yeah.
And I guess this is not a new revelation. It's the fact that it's been acknowledged by Twin Galaxies. That's the new thing.
Okay.
People have been complaining about these scores for a long time. Like, there's no way a lot of these exist. But now there's indisputable evidence as far as the dragster. And that created a domino effect where people started going deeper and deeper into the records. And they're like, there's no way this is happening. Or there's no way what he's saying is possible. But to sit there and analyze on a per frame basis and use tool assisted runs and all of that, that reminds me of I think it was Zarek. Someone in our chat called it weaponized autism. When internet forums get upset about something and it's just a mad dash for the answers and the proof. And that happened. Zarek, he says he had like 1,700 records or some crap. Apparently most of them were interested by his friends who are in prison now. Were verified by his friend who's now in prison for being a pedo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and now there's a lot of other speculation with a lot of those scores. And the thing is, he's played well in person. It's not like people have seen him do really well and be an elite level player. But I think we've all known people that were like this, that always exaggerated everything that they ever said.
Yeah.
It's
also super entertaining to see grown men take this kind of stuff seriously.
Yes, that's a very good point.
Like life or death, seriously.
Yes. And people like me that enjoy watching the drama from far. Is that Schadenfreude?
Kinda. I think it's like that mixed with when somebody puts a bunch of dominoes up and you just watch them fall.
Okay.
Kind of the same thing.
Our German listeners are probably like, oh, we already have a word for that. It's this.
Domino Freude.
Yes. Well, maybe we got an episode title now. Zarek says they've known he was a cheater for a long time, which is, he said Twin Galaxies finally got pressured enough to do something about it and exposed it.
Is Hector Day still around?
Remember that, like, bodybuilder dude named Jace Hall bought Twin Galaxies years ago, and there was a weird thing, and I think Walter Day is gone. I think he's still on Facebook and wears his referee shirt, but I think that's it. So I think you'll still see him pop up, but I don't think he's there in an official capacity.
I bet he has that Billy Mitchell tape.
Definitely. He's got the Todd Rogers tape. He's got it all.
He's got dirt on everybody.
Oh, yeah. There was definitely a political reference in there, but I wasn't quick enough to. Yeah. So also related to this good old boys group that gave each other world records, Billy Mitchell, who is legitimately, verifiably excellent at video games, but also looks like he's been in situations that have been less than forthright. There's always been speculation about him being too obsessed with having that number one spot, cheating to be willing to do that. And it looks like there is now I'll have an article linked on Kotaku that will link to all the various things. But essentially, Billy Mitchell has always said that his scores have been submitted by a real arcade cabinet with a direct audio video feed out or something like that. And someone went and analyzed everything, and frame by frame, the way the animations draw into the screen are drawn in like MAME, not drawn in as though they would on a regular CRT setup. So now his records are in dispute, or his scores are being disputed. Anything over 1 million points over at Twin Galaxies, and I guess at the Donkey Kong forums, where this was heavily analyzed and the frame draw-in stuff was looked at, they have removed all of his scores as being bogus, other than the ones that were verified in person at like an event, like a fun spot,
right?
Like gaming event. Not his buddy said so. The buddy calls from jail. He's like, no, I totally remember him doing that. I know how you feel, but I guess I'd just ask you anyways. Look, what's the point of cheating, I guess, or what are your thoughts on cheating? Like, what's the temptation if you were to play devil's advocate?
I have no idea. I don't know why someone would want a record that is false.
It's the record. It's not beating your brother or your buddy who's beaten you 100 times in a like WWE game or something.
Yeah.
Where you're just being a dickhead to cheat. Like, to cheat on that level is just bizarre.
Yeah. Like, hey, I have the world record in blah, blah. Well, I know I don't. I know I cheated. Like, I wouldn't be able to... I would derive no satisfaction from that. I don't know.
So, I feel like we're even playing golf. The golf... some guys are known as cheaters. They move the ball, or they don't count strokes, all that kind of stuff. They claim that they found a ball that clearly went out of bounds. And it feels cheapened. Like I didn't do it.
Yeah. Same.
So I don't in golf. Like I know, and I've tried cheating before. And that's how I know that I don't like winning, when I know that I've cheated.
Right. Like
it happened when you're young and you're like, kind of like when you fight over an object and then you get it and you feel like shit that you got it. You're like, I guess it was more about the argument, not the actual balloon or whatever. The Billy Mitchell stuff is really interesting just because he is a polarizing figure, but he's also really good. It's like Barry Bonds would still be a Hall of Fame player.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd probably still be the best home run hitter of all time. But he got a couple extra, probably. Actually, he probably got more home runs because the pitchers were also on steroids, so they were throwing the ball harder, and he had more velocity. It's weird because he's so good. He's one of the best of all time. So to cheat like that, it's just sort of strange. Maybe he's just too obsessed with, it's that qualification of being one of the best that he can't get past.
If I was Billy Mitchell, I'd just find out what is it, Boomers? Boomers is the tape he's talking about, would exonerate him if they found the original. I would just set up the cabinet somewhere and be like, look, watch, let's do this. And do it. I mean, dude has done it in real life, like with somebody watching. Clearly, he's capable of it.
Yes, and maybe he's older now, so he couldn't, because these records were set 10 years ago or whatever. But I also don't really have too much sympathy for him if he's not able or willing to do that. He's going to have his best live one stand, because the culture of speedrunning and video game records now, everyone's streaming their attempts live on Twitch. Every time you see a world record now, the person has no idea they're going for a world record like halfway through the video. It's just another attempt.
Yeah.
So you have to accept the fact that that's now the criteria if you're going to claim a world record. Unfortunately, the video evidence has to be so rock solid that There's an abundance of it, and it's actually a nuisance to look through all the footage potentially, or find that fucking tape.
Yeah. Sequel to Fistful of Quarters right here.
That's right. The search for the tape. Pixar didn't happen, Billy. Them's the rules. Zarek also brings up a good point. This is related to Todd Rogers. Todd Rogers also worked for Twin Galaxies, and he entered his own scores.
Perfect.
Like he just comes across like the guy that's like, oh yeah, my dad's best friends with Michael Jordan or something. Like, right. No, he's not. No, he's not. Your dad's a cool guy, but he doesn't know Michael Jordan. Next up, we have the Microsoft Game Pass. Do you know anything about this so far?
I don't.
We talked about it before. It's a $10 subscription, and you're going to be able to get AAA games, current generation ones.
Mm-hmm.
They've now added where the Microsoft first-party titles are going to be available day one on launch day, cool. Even at $10 a month. So, and there's no contract. You can, you might only be able to sign up for a year or 6 months at a time, though.
Okay,
but I think you can cancel. I think you'd get a refund, because I hear people say that, so when a new Halo comes out, someone can just subscribe for a month, beat the campaign, and unsubscribe. And they're only paying $10. And I haven't heard that thought disputed.
It'll probably be like if you play more than 2 hours or so much % of a game, then like Amazon Prime, you get it. And if you use it anytime in between the time you pay and the time, like, you get charged for a year.
I could see that. If I were to bet, I bet it is that you can get away with just paying $10 at a time and canceling and resubscribing.
Yeah. I
really bet you could. And I bet Microsoft is okay with that. The whole games as a service thing. $10 is a price point that you might forget about. Now, this would be over and above Xbox Gold. So you'd need Xbox Live Gold, which is $60 a year. And then this would be $120. So it's $180, which is a lot, but if I'm being honest with myself, I've spent $180 on software throughout the year, every year, easily.
Yeah. I mean, that's what, 3 full price video games? Yeah.
And Microsoft doesn't have a lot of first party titles. So this would be, if there were a new Gears of War, a new Halo, there's only going to be a handful that even would qualify. But, a third party may allow. Who knows? It's just a rethinking of the way video games are delivered now, I guess. And I like the idea of another option out there. And maybe it'll continue to force market options.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Just another distribution.
Yeah, because not everything's going to work for everybody. Some people, if I had a kid, a 13-year-old, I could probably afford this to say this is all you get for the year for games. But I would know that there's at least a nice catalog to go through.
Yeah.
Versus having to be bugged for being, shelling out 3 games for the year or whatnot. Plus, I could play it as well. But for my personal situation, it doesn't make sense to me because I'm not as big of an Xbox fan. I love my Xbox, but I just like PC and Nintendo right now. So I like to buy my Xbox games a la carte. I don't know. I just love a different thought process, and that seems so cheap.
Yeah.
It's definitely attention getting. We got Jim, Kick-Ass Gamer. He says right now it is monthly, but they are coming out with 6-month cards that'll still be the same price. So $60 for a 6-month card. That's what he heard.
Word.
So cool. Yeah, for some people I will feel bad for the 13-year-olds, though, when they are our age and they have to go through these incredible hoops to try to patch and hack these games that they played 20 years ago.
Right.
Because they're all in a cloud service. Like, At least we'll be in our nursing homes, like playing like Windjammers together or whatever. Zarek says, think about this. All of these people are going to be caught because of the stupid mistakes. Oh, he's talking about how high scores silly. He says, how many top scores were faked perfectly because it's the N mod or hacked gaming? I just don't care about the competitive gaming anymore. Yeah, and that's where I think leaderboards inside of games are great. That way, if you want to compete with your friend, you can, and it's nice and easy to kind of navigate that stuff.
Yeah.
Or I like to set the high score at an establishment. Like there's a rib place I love to go to, and every time I'm there, I like to set the high score on Miss Pac-Man. Because the game gets unplugged every night. It's always like 9,000. I can do it every time. And I guess that's as far as I can get with that stuff. Or watching verified speedrun stuff.
Man, I set a high score in Marvel vs. Capcom at Ronnie's Hot Wing joint, which is no longer even there in Kernersville, North Carolina.
Felt good.
Yeah. I was like, number one.
And that's good enough for me, I guess. Watch the Mexican runner go out there and, shred Ninja Gaiden or something. I can enjoy that.
He is awesome.
He's really, really good. He did the Battletoads bike scene blindfolded this year.
I saw that. It was amazing.
Wow. I mean, I get it. I get it that he's... I don't know. That's another level. Like, his brain is just wired to play video games that way. It's crazy.
Yeah.
He's he's likable, too. He does incredibly good commentary, and not even in his native language. I couldn't imagine doing a Contra run in Spanish
right
in front of thousands of people. It's amazing. And then Zarek also says, back on early YouTube, big famous YouTubers used to play and have other people get them high scores. Jim Kickass Gamer, he does say, I do have the Game Pass and I love it. So
cool.
And he's the one confirming the monthly stuff, or from what he's heard so far. So that's cool. I did the 2-week trial of the Game Pass, and I played a lot of Halo 5. That's why I ended up with Halo 5. It's because I really enjoyed that game. As Eric's just saying, competitive gamers competitive gaming is being ruined by cheating. We talked about this again with the PUBG stuff, people shooting through walls and using aimbots and Overwatch and all of that, and it feels so good to win for real. Maybe these people just don't realize that.
Yeah.
They need to play some Castlevania and realize it's you or the game.
That's right.
And then they'll be going PUBG for real. Jim also says, the one drawback to the games are available or not going to be available to me most of the times. I have to download them.
Castlevania, the only chicken dinner you get is the one that's in the wall.
Beautiful. Actually, the manual says it's a pork chop in the first one, Dustin. Good stuff. Yeah. Next up, I want to give a shout out to a game called Fossil Hunter. This is by Ryan Miller. He's a lead developer. Someone that started following us on Twitter, and they had a successful Kickstarter, and they're from Toronto, Canada. So, Kevin, you can go over to their office and give them a high five for us.
Yeah, bring them some poutine.
And it's a really interesting concept. It's a game that it kind of looks like maybe isometric, the way a Hob or a Diablo type of game might look, or Torchlight. But what you're doing is you're kind of scavenging for stuff, and you find fossils, and you create dinosaurs. And it's kind of like if you like crafting potions and all that kind of stuff in games. It has a crafting element, but it's with fossils that you find. So you can create new species, and there's like a neat building mechanic. And I watched the video, and I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
So
kind of a Minecrafty, crafty. dinosaur game.
Making stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not
maybe like dinosaur nuts and bolts, that Banjo-Kazooie game.
Yeah, almost. Or like was that Scribble Knots or whatever that you could kind of make like draw ladder and it would happen or something, that kind of stuff. I don't know. It was neat to have. I thought it looked like a really cool concept, and to see where they've come from alpha to where they are now, it's pretty impressive. So that's at Ryan Thinker on Twitter, and the game is made by Reptoid Games, and it's called Fossil Hunter. We'll put a link to the Kickstarter. Again, they're linked and done, so or fulfilled. So if you want to support, I think you still can. What do you got here?
I was laughing at Xeric. He said, there's arm wrestling in Monster Hunter World. I'm undefeated. It's not fair, though. These kids didn't develop their fingers on old school NES games like me. Xeric, do you use the Takahashi Meijin kind of where you flex your arm muscle and it just kind of makes your finger go up and down really fast?
You're faster than the refresh rate on your webcam when you're doing that, because all of a sudden your hand's just blurry. You'll have to go back and look at the archive. It's really neat. I was like, what the heck? That's cool. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, let's see if I can get some audio. Hold on.
Flexing your arm muscle. Pretty good.
I'm allowed to practice.
Have you ever heard of somebody using a spoon to rock in an arcade machine?
Oh, yeah.
You can go back and forth real quick. It's like, wow, that's crazy.
I've heard of people using on NES controllers rulers.
Oh, yeah.
Just like flopping on the button, like if you're on track and field.
I have seen that. You remember those old shatterproof rulers?
Mm-hmm.
I always hated the fact that I never understood that breaking and shattering weren't necessarily the same thing. And it was the first time one of the first times I realized marketing bullshit. And I'm like, unbreakable? No. Yeah, I guess it isn't going to shatter, but I can bend it into a million pieces.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was like, they got me. Technically, they're right. It's not going to shatter. It's dumb. Yeah. Yeah, Zeric's enjoying Monster Hunter. That's awesome. He says, yeah, my fingertips just twitch. I don't even know if there's a name for it. Ask the Germans. They'll have a name for it. Yeah, Fossil Hunter. Go check that game out. What are some other tricks you've done related to that kind of stuff? There's definitely times where you'll need to hold a button down in certain ways. I've seen rubber bands being used.
Mm-hmm.
Rubber bands on PS4 controller. What was that? Someone needed to leave a game on. I know that I've seen rubber bands used as hacks on modern consoles.
I used a rubber band and a lozenge on my TurboGrafx controller to keep the button down.
Okay. I remember the Angry Video Game Nerd using a vice grip. And an Arnold Schwarzenegger video or something.
Yeah.
All sorts of goofy stuff like that. Man, what I'm trying to think of what. I can't think of a good one. A good other
Sideways
mod I've done.
Dirk said you could also do it sideways in games that required you to alternate between B and A. I can't do that. That's next level stuff.
Search hardcore. Last up, I just wanted to talk about this product because it's up our alley. So, Dustin, what do you know about the Analogue Super NT that was released yesterday?
So, I know it's a new high def, or no, I don't know. I think it's a new high def SNES. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I know that HD Retrovision was talking about it on Twitter, and they came to the conclusion that they need to do a Super NT review video where they're going to review the reviews of the Super NT.
I like that. Hold people to the hold their feet to the fire.
Man, if I had a Super NT review planned, which I never did, but still, if I did, I would probably not put it out now.
Oh, I would. I see. I've listened to their other podcasts. I know what they would expect, so I would be preemptively.
Okay.
I know their the do's and do nots.
I need to get in. I need to get in on that podcast.
Basically, what I would just say is I'm not 100% sure. Check etchyretrovision.com. SC Nick on Twitter. They it's the Retro Roundtable with Bob from Retro RGB on YouTube, Voltar, who does a lot of mods. I've talked about him before with the Super Nintendo stuff. Their friend Renee, who's also Canadian, from DB Electronics. You've probably seen Renee on Twitter if you follow him. But yeah, it's called the Retro Roundtable, and they get hardcore about retro gaming, electronics, and video quality, and how it works, and like the way voltages affect certain things. And it's above my head, but they have good banter, so I enjoy it. Yeah, Retro Roundtable. SoundCloud, and their RSS feed works as well.
It does feel really good when you get a few terms memorized. And you could probably, like, you can put them in a sentence, but you don't fully understand all of it that it encompasses. Yeah.
Fake it till you make it. That's right. Yeah. Jim says reviewception. Definitely. That's what my friend, and I'm too embarrassed to do it. He wanted me to get drunk and review a game, and then review my drunk review in a similar way. I'm like, no.
That would be awesome.
He's like, you're funny drunk. And he's like, and you disagree with yourself sometimes. I'm like, that's a little, I'd have to be like notch rich, where it does not matter if I get kicked off the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If this ever falls apart, you'll see Scott's drunk reviews like show up somewhere. I do want to bring attention to Peter Brown over at GameSpot. He's one of my favorite guys in, I don't know, like mainstream games journalists, I guess. He's the editor-in-chief over at GameSpot. But Dustin, he's like a hybrid of our interests when it comes to retro games. He and his wife just within the last year, spent $500 on Panzer Dragoon.
Oh, all right.
Like, it was like, I think it was Panzer Dragoon. I'm almost positive it was. And they work in the same building as Giant Bomb, so he's been on their streams. And when he talks on their podcast about this stuff, he knows a lot. He like shouts out My Life in Gaming and is really hardcore about HD Retrovision and all that. He actually linked HD Retrovision today on Twitter.
Cool.
So it's I like how I really like the chase for the perfect signal. But I like having a good game collection, but I'm okay that it's got some holes in it. And you're like the opposite of that, where you've got this amazing collection and you really like the high quality, and you've got the good high quality stuff, but you have a little bit more reservation or ability to say no to the newest OSSE or this, for example. So he's like a perfect combination of our interests, because he's hardcore on both of those fronts.
That's awesome.
And he knows his shit, which is always entertaining, or enjoyable to listen to. Not entertaining. Yeah. So Peter Brown over at GameSpot. Really seems like a really nice guy. All right, man. It's now time to talk about our YouTube channel of the week.
YouTube channel of the week.
Week.
I actually just found these guys. I think it was yesterday, but it's Gamer Thumb TV.
Okay.
And I found him because I went to YouTube and I just put in Castlevania and hit enter, and I was scrolling down to see what came up. And one of the things that came up was Castlevania Timeline. Awesome. By Gamer Thumb TV. So I watched through all of those, and it reminds me a lot of the game trailers when they used to do retrospectives, and they would end with the kind of a summation of the entire series.
Okay, yeah.
It's like that. And I think he takes some liberties with some of the story beats, but it's in such a way that I don't care. I thought it was awesome.
Okay. Cool. Castlevania timeline.
Yeah, he goes 1 through 4, and that's the original saga. And then he did 5 and 6 to do the Mercury Steam Castlevania games. So Lords of Shadow, Mirror of Fate, and then Lords of Shadow 2.
Okay. Cool. Hell yeah. I was going to ask how that would tie into the Iga stuff, but it doesn't sound like that's covered. It sticks to the core lore.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, he did both, but he did them as 2 separate things.
Cool. Which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I would really like another Castlevania game to come out.
Yeah. Well, Bloodstained. Oh,
Zarek sent us something on Twitter. Did you pie him on that?
It was. I didn't get back to him on it. I saw it and had to do something to work. Stupid work. It was a Switch. It was a Switch running Bloodstained.
All right, awesome.
That's what it was.
That's going to be a $60 game, isn't it? I think it might be.
I think. I don't remember how much I pledged.
I think it was $60 to pledge to get the game. I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, that's getting here close. That'll be one I'll be able to wait a little bit on. A game I'm going to talk about. I waited to hear some reviews, and then I found out who made it, and I bought it, and it was one of the best games I've ever played. Right. Excited to get to my section this week. But Gamer Thumb TV, is the Castlevania timeline the only one that you've been able to watch so far? Like, do you have a sense of the gist of its channel, or just you like this one video so far?
I liked it. Well, it was a series of 6 videos, so it was hours of content.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Just say
playlist in the URL.
I think I have a good. I think it's a pretty good indication of what his channel is like.
Yeah,
I subscribe to him to give you an idea.
All right, yeah. There is a chance that we may not subscribe to a YouTube channel that we feature on this because they might just make some awesome content, like a one-off thing that we really like. Yeah, it's unlikely, but it is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, let's talk about some more Castlevania.
All right. I played.
Oh, Zarek corrects. He says $20 to pledge and get the game digital. He thinks so. Maybe it'll be the $20 to $30 range for. Cause I'll get that digitally. I won't get that. I won't get a physical copy.
Man, that'd be a good Switch game.
Bloodstained?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to take that wherever you want and play it. Man,
that's perfect. Great. Yep.
But yes, Castlevania. I played Castlevania Dracula X Chronicles on my PSP. Have I talked about that? Did I talk about that 3 weeks ago?
You did, but it wasn't like you saw credits roll. You just kind of given an update on where you were.
Okay. I think I haven't gotten very much past that then.
Okay.
I did, like, I got to the, I think it was the alternate 5th level, the alternate 6th level. It's the one right before the ghost ship. That has a boss specific to that PSP version. And I was banging my head against that, not being able to defeat it. So I went back through and beat all the levels up to it and racked up like 8 1-ups. And then I paused it and haven't gone back to it. So whenever I go back to it, I'll be good to go. So about a month ago, I played Castlevania Adventure. And I told everybody like how bad it was. I'm pretty sure that game is... You ever see people running track and they have like a parachute on their back? I feel like that's what Castlevania the Adventure is.
Okay.
So, because I played Castlevania 3 on my DS after that, and I beat it with Trevor. And I've never done that before. I always use Grant and kind of cheese my way through it.
Yeah, I saw you say something on Twitter about that. And the indie gaming attorney noticed a discrepancy in your final screenshot. Asking some questions.
Yeah, he was on me asking why. I said it was Trevor only, and I had Sypha, excuse me. And he said, if it was Trevor only, why is Sypha there? And I told him it was because I'm Transylvania's best matchmaker.
And
he said, respect.
Yep.
That was it.
I thought it was a very funny response. Like, also, I thought it was very funny for him to point that out. I just, it's cool. I don't know. Twitter and video games can be so fucking fun. And I thought that was very fun. We don't follow each other. It's just, someone
just
liked it and it showed up in his line and he had a funny joke. And I was like, this is great.
And then some rando was like, "Well, excuse me, in Japanese version, it's actually his name's Ralph C. Belmondo." And I sent him a gift that said, "You are right." But yes, Castlevania 3. Play Castlevania the Adventure if you want to get good at Castlevania. Play it until you're good at Castlevania the Adventure, and then you will automatically be good at every other Castlevania game.
It sounds like a donut on a baseball bat. It's a term for a lead weight you would put on a bat.
Oh, okay.
And you'd swing and it'd feel heavier, and then when you got up to bat, it supposedly had quicker bat speed. I always hated those, but yeah, I guess not a literal donut.
I was about to say, there's donuts in baseball?
Yeah, not a Homer Simpson.
I would have been way more involved in baseball. I don't know.
Fuck, man, I screwed up. Maybe it's not so boring. It's actually, when they outlawed pine tar, they just started rubbing glazed donuts on the wooden bats for grip. It's amazing how it worked.
So I streamed some Akamajo Densets last night when we couldn't make our podcast, because I've actually been playing it quite a bit recently, just because I wanted to dust off my twin Famicom and I wanted to play it on a TV instead of my DS. And when I was playing last night, I was judging all of my poses when I landed on the orb. And Xeric said, "I saw your stream afterwards. I fell asleep waiting for the stream to start. I think you beat 3 levels with an A- and 2 with an A+."
Oh, you did that good with the landings.
Yeah.
You're pretty critical of yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you're real particular about what's a good pose.
You have to frame it nice.
Yeah.
Your whip has to be just right.
I know. I've seen you be happy with the pixel perfect recoil, like the about to go forward, and I've seen you be real happy with a full straight through.
Yeah.
And then framed right. I think of you every time there's an orb. Every time I try to do that, I think of you.
I think the whip out, I think is an A+. And then if he's about to whip, I think that's like an A-.
Okay. That's fair.
And oh man, so A+ in Rondo of Blood is when you can backflip and catch it.
That's where I've seen you get excited. It was your Rondo of Blood playthroughs. That's where I've seen you get real critical of yourself. That's cool, man. So, which of the, I guess, chipsets from an audio standpoint do you prefer? The Castlevania 3 palette or the Famicom? Because Ajamacho Densetsu is Castlevania 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just Famicom, right? Okay. So I was assuming that the whole time I was listening to you, so things still make sense. Do you have a preference on those?
I think I like Akamajo Densetsu a little bit more.
I definitely do, but I wonder if it's because it's new or different. Where sometimes a remix of a song is better than the original, and I wonder if it's that sort of a sensation for me.
I think it's just that VRC6 chip.
It's really awesome.
It just sounds so different.
It's got a full... It doesn't sound like a square wave or like a MIDI file. It sounds closer to a real instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really... I don't regret buying the game for that. Just the audio alone. It's really cool. Yeah. Which one of those is supposedly easier? Isn't the Famicom one easier?
Much.
Because what are the differences?
The amount of life that the enemies take off in the later parts of the game. In the Nintendo version, they take off like a quarter of your health per hit. Mm-hmm. In the Famicom, they'll only take 3.
That's right.
Some of the enemy AI is much less aggressive, like the doppelganger fight and the Cyclops fights. the the biggest one is Grant. In the Famicom version, he throws daggers. Like, he has the throwing dagger all the time. That is his base weapon. In the Nintendo version, he just has like this little shiv thing. He has like no attack range whatsoever.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, they made it very difficult for the American version just to because Reynolds.
Bastards.
Yeah.
Okay. No. Yeah, I'm even more so into 3. I have both of them, but I always bust out the enhanced audio version.
Yeah, man, it's like I have really come around on Castlevania 3.
Yeah.
I played it reluctantly when I first, because I was just like, I'm going to beat this damn game because I'm a Castlevania nerd.
Yeah.
And I cannot not beat this game. But now I'm like, this game is awesome. I just want to play it.
I really like it. I always had, but I didn't have. I'm Johnny come lately with Castlevania. You're the one that got me to dive into the series. So I experienced those 2 games kind of simultaneously, like as an adult or whatever. It's. I don't think I could ever love like Super C as much as Contra, kind of a thing. But I have come around on Super C way more. So I think I can understand what you mean. And then you actually did something that's a little out of character.
I did a thing. Like, this is a big thing. So I actually sold a video game.
In person, Craigslist, eBay?
On eBay.
Okay.
And this wasn't like, I have an extra copy of Gyromite, so I sold it. I sold Pop Full Mel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Trying to stack up that college fund already? You just talked about that game.
I did. I was playing it, and I was lukewarm on it, and I put it in one day, and I was like, I don't really feel like playing this, but I just kind of feel like I want to beat it once at least before I put it back in the collection. And I jumped somewhere, hit a monster twice, died right there, and said, I don't ever want to play this video game again. So
you rage quit to eBay.
This is like the ultimate rage quit. I was just like, this game, I don't enjoy it. This is $250 sitting on my shelf. I'm selling it.
How quick did it go?
I did a 7-day auction. It eventually sold for $225, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I've seen it go.
You'll end up with about $200 then after PayPal and eBay fees. It's pretty good.
Yeah. I've seen it go for like $300 before, but I didn't think that was going to happen. I figured that was an anomaly, and it was. But yeah.
And the fact that it's Sega CD and PC Engine or TurboGrafx 16 games, those are the 2 systems that I'm stunned to hear, that I would ever be stunned to hear you sell from.
Yeah.
So for this to be a Sega CD game is wild. Like, if you told me you sold Hagane, I'd be like, I get it. I don't, but you could have let me borrow it for a week or something before you sold it. But there's something about the Sega CD and the TurboGrafx 16 that, I don't know, you hold with such reverence. It's crazy to hear you selling.
Well, when it first popped in my head, like, man, maybe I should just sell this thing. I was like, that's weird. I don't sell games. Like, why would I do that?
Oh no, he's changing.
But then I was like, wait a minute. I've never once thought of selling Snatcher or Hagane. I've never thought about selling Metal Warriors. I've never thought about selling anything. So just the fact that Pop Full Mel was just so, it just wasn't, it was a bad game. And I was just like, it's stupid to just have money sitting on the shelf.
That's how I felt about the Nintendo 64 and Super Nintendo games I sold.
Yeah.
It's like, I haven't touched any of these. I've already played the guitar I bought from selling that stuff way more than I had leading up to that with all those games combined.
Yeah.
So I feel you there. We're growing up, Dustin.
Yes. Finally.
Finally. We're 15 now.
You need to play Dire Docks on the guitar, since you can't play the Mario 64 anymore.
Dire Docks. Is that one of the? Is it the theme song in Mario 64?
Yeah, it's the Water World.
Okay. I'll have access to that again. There's the Wii U has it on Virtual Console.
Yeah, but you really need that Trident controller to play it. I do.
Okay, I don't. I need that Reverend guitar, my man. Zerk says, have you ever thought about using the Google Glasses app to live translate game text? This may help you next time you make a run, Scott.
Huh.
That'd be crazy. He says, if you haven't used it, it works great. He says, you point your phone at the camera and the text on the screen changes into the letters in English. It's like magic. He said it may be called Google Goggles or something like that. I'll look it up later. That's wild.
Dude, I need to get on that.
That would be a really fun and potentially hilarious, I don't know, like video or live stream.
Yeah.
Maybe that Famicom lot that I bought, I can actually play some of those games now.
Oh, what if it worked perfectly? You could just play any game you wanted now.
Well, Dustin, this is what happens. We have Alexa spying on us, but we can translate and play any video game. So the good with the bad. Would you rather have... What would be more important to you? Would you rather have the ability to play any game this way, real time, but also the internet's listening to everything, or the other way where you have neither?
Nah, I'd rather have privacy.
Liar. You're just trying to stay consistent. I know what you'd choose. It would be really... I can't wait until the devices are powerful enough where a lot of that privacy stuff can happen on a local basis and not a secured cloud basis. That would be really nice. Even if it makes, phones and CPUs slower, I'd rather... We're getting too impatient. I did see you tweet something about a hilarious Sony cell phone thing that you're like, I would use the hell out of this. It looked like a walkie-talkie. I couldn't believe that was a cell phone.
I found
like a wireless phone dial pad or something.
Yes. Oh, the thing was awesome. I was in one of my elementary schools, and they had how technology is changing the world book. But It was from like 1995.
Oh, sweet.
So that was a Sony cell phone from like, I don't know, 1993 or something. Yeah. It had like imagine like the old gray flip phones, but the thing that flips down and you talk into is like the wire that you see on like headsets.
Yeah, that's
what it was.
Yeah, it looked like a call center mouthpiece. At that time, though, that seemed future, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like...
That was like something at a time cop.
Exactly. I was going to say RoboCop, so I'm glad that we both went to, like, there.
Yes.
I heard someone mention that they're trying to make a direct sequel to RoboCop.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Why? RoboCop is so perfect.
I don't know. Money.
I just don't know what else you could do.
Same reason they're making a direct sequel to Halloween.
Well, they've done that several times, haven't they?
They did, but now they're retconning all of them and making like a direct sequel.
Oh, really?
I think they're going all the way back to like it's going to be number 2, basically. So,
but didn't the real number 2 take place immediately after? Like, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Seconds after.
Yep.
Okay.
But Jamie Lee's back. Nick Castle's back.
How's Jamie Lee going to be back in a cameo capacity then?
I think she's starring in it.
Wow. Weird. I wonder what they'll do.
Despite the fact that she died in the last, like the one with Busta Rhymes in it.
Was that the H2O one? Was that the one?
It was one after that one.
Okay, all right. H2O2.
Yeah, Katie Sackhoff and Busta Rhymes.
Busta Bus. I loved Busta Rhymes. Flipmo. Zarek says the Google works really well. He said I use it to live translate for me. That's really cool. It's impressive. Favorite Busta Rhymes song? What's your favorite Busta Rhymes song?
Oh, I don't know his catalog enough to have an opinion.
Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See. I love the song he did with Mystical. They both are just really fast. Oh, it's going to drive me nuts. Maybe it'll come to me by the end of the show. I hope so. Busta Rhymes and Mystical. Are You Wildin' With Us? That's what it is. I love that song. So cool. Well, now that you're $200 richer, you going to parlay that into a discount on a $300 game? Or are you going to buy some seeds for the garden? It's about time to start prepping.
So I've already spent it.
Okay.
And I bought
a savings
four
bond.
Castlevania games.
Yes.
3 of which are the original Castlevania.
You should have said that you started a savings bond for. Okay. I thought we were moving on.
He's already got a savings account. He's good.
Even Simon?
Oh no, he's got to fend for himself.
Worry about him in a couple months.
Yeah.
All right.
I got like 18 years to worry about him.
So walk me through how you ended up with. Can I tell you something that might make you feel better?
Yes.
I also have 3 copies of the original Castlevania.
Okay. Good.
So we can exchange how we've done this.
Okay, so the original Castlevania was released as Akumajo Dracula on the Famicom Disk System. Now, I already own that, but my copy has recently stopped working.
Okay.
So I rebought just the disc for like $20. So I already have my complete copy over here. I just need another copy that actually works. So that's one. And I bought, after the Famicom Disk System version, they re-released it on a cartridge. And that cartridge is hard to get. It's like $150. That's what I bought it for.
Okay.
And it has like an easy mode. And I'm pretty stoked to get it because it's not common. So that's one way. That's the second copy I bought.
Okay.
And then I got a complete copy of the Nintendo Classic version of Castlevania for the GBA. All
right. Okay. Way cooler than my story. Those are actually, as a fan like you are, that those all make perfect sense. I have the original cart. See, I'm counting that I have the original cart. Mm-hmm. You're not. Mm-hmm. Then I bought, when I got my Famicom Disk System, I bought Castlevania off eBay. And I totally ended up with, they were lying. I got one of the discs that was clearly written to from a kiosk, and the cover was from an inkjet printer hand cut.
Oh.
So,
boo.
While it plays well, I probably had it for a week before I was like, this is unacceptable. I need an authentic one. So I went and I bought it again. And it was significantly cheaper, the one that I bought it for. It wasn't in the listing, but I guess if I knew better, I probably could have realized it. The difference in the ink quality and the paper quality is so stark. Is that one of those games where you enter in one side and then you have to flip it over for the game to load?
Yeah.
Super Mario, Zelda does that, and Super Mario Brothers 2 or Doki Doki Panic does that. Zarek says, did you hear about the $100,000 Contra box art? I did not. That's crazy. $100,000 box art.
Yeah. That sounds like it'd be up your alley.
If I had $100,000, obviously that's what I would do.
Okay, two things before he gets a response in. I also bought, the fourth thing I bought was Castlevania Legends for the Game Boy.
Okay.
Because I don't have that one either, and that's kind of rare. But I was on CastlevaniaDungeon.net recently, and I was looking at different advertisements, and they had this mail-in coupon thing, where if you mail Konami, I think it was like $7.50, they would mail you like huge posters of box art.
Oh, that would be rad. They still do that, or was this like a...
This was like way back in the 80s.
All right.
But it was like 10 video game boxes. They would send you posters for them.
That would be rad.
And I was like, oh, man, I would murder a human being for those right now.
And even back then, that was a reasonable price. Posters were $15, $20 when we were kids.
Yeah.
I loved those posters that came with stuff, whether it was from a Nintendo Power or like a Beckett, the baseball card valuation guides, or they would come in Nintendo boxes. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, you as a big Castlevania fan, that's totally reasonable that you would get that. Are there any the 2Ds that you're missing now? Or you got any? What might be left for the Castlevania? Like, are we just getting into variants at this point?
I think so. Well, I don't have Castlevania Judgment on the Wii. That's that fighting game. I don't have Akumajo Dracula for the X68000 because that game by itself is like $300
plus $10,000 for the system.
Yeah, man, finding one of those systems. Holy cow. I think that might be it.
Wow, that's impressive.
I think I might own, like, well, there's like the old IBM Commodore 64. Like, there was a bunch of different computer MSX versions that I'd have to buy, like, old 80s computers and see if I can get them to work, plus the game.
Yeah, at that point, that's just shelf decorations.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, I guess let's talk about what I've been up to recently, unless you had any other stuff you wanted to chat about.
No, let's do it.
All right. Hearthstone got some big nerfs, so I've been looking at what Brian Kibler on YouTube, who's my favorite Hearthstone player, when I need a good deck to play. He's very smart, very knowledgeable, big following in Hearthstone crowd. So I've been copying his decks and been having fun with a Shaman one recently. But my friend Matt gave me this rogue deck before the nerf that was just so much fun and playing really well. And it's just been decimated by this. It was like they saw my buddy Matt's deck and went like, nope, that's not allowed anymore. Man. He's the one that got into Legend on Hearthstone. Mm-hmm. He also is the one that's in the top 1% of PUBG.
Oh, yeah.
He's just really good at games. But he hasn't beaten Super Meat Boy, and I have. Or Cuphead, I mean. No, he's really good. But I've been enjoying getting back into Hearthstone, just trying to kind of, I don't know, figure some new stuff out while it's in a state of disarray, kind of scoop up some wins. They changed some things that I guess I'll cover real quick. In ranked play, they used to reset you pretty far back, and now you only drop 4 levels, which is really nice. And to level up, you need 5 stars or 5 wins per ranking in order to move up. And you lose stars if you lose, which is cool. It used to be 3 stars to move up, and then once you got past maybe rank 5, then you had to win 5 games to move up a ranking. And this is just nice and consistent, and it's not as punishing. So if you have a really good month, you don't slide all the way back and have to start over again. So I kind of like this change. I don't know. I don't follow Hearthstone really closely, so I don't know if the sentiment in the community is good with that, if it's been a change that people have liked, but I like it. It suits someone like me really well. I ended up getting, this is like 3 weeks ago now, but I hadn't been playing many video games at all because I got a new guitar as well. So between the virtual reality headset, my 64, Super Nintendo games, I was able to get a new guitar and a new amp. So I've been having all sorts of fun just getting back into, because I refurbished my guitar and then I got one that's nice and stock, and the guitar that I refurbished is a Stratocaster, and this one is it's a Reverend guitar, and it's more like a Les Paul from Gibson or like a SG from Gibson. So like Les Paul's what you'd see like Jimmy Page play or Tool or whatever. And the SG was like the red guitar that Angus Young would play for AC/DC.
Okay.
So it's got two like fat humbucker pickups in it. I really like it a lot. So the guy that I bought it from, so Reverend Guitars started in Detroit, but it's in Toledo, Ohio. And I live an hour from Toledo. It's a Ohio guitar brand. And
cool.
At the instrument versions of CES, this guitar brand does really well, and they win a lot of best in shows year after year.
Okay.
The guy that I bought it from on Craigslist is really good friends with the owner of Reverend Guitars, and he's got a couple friends that work there underneath him, and his buddy that's a tech there handpicked this guitar for him. He got a deal on a different Reverend that he wanted, so he just sold this one, and it was the exact guitar that I wanted.
Dude.
And it was cheap because it was on Craigslist, and it was awesome. So I've been playing that. My favorite song I've learned recently is "God Only Knows" from the Beach Boys. Learning a nice instrumentation there, and I've started working on getting the solo down from "Comfortably Numb," and then just been playing some, regular Tool or Led Zeppelin licks or stuff like that. But it's been really fun.
That's
so
awesome.
I played Super Meat Boy. I bought it on the Switch 3 weeks ago, and I've been playing through it. I got halfway through the game. I was just in the mood for that. It's been long enough since I've beat Cuphead, and I've just been itching for that. So I was happy to buy Super Meat Boy again, support Tommy. I know Edmund's not there, but it's still, Super Meat Boy's got a special place in my heart. So I have no problem buying that game again. But
that was your big break in Hollywood.
Yeah, that was yeah. I'm on Netflix because of Super Meat Boy. But and you heard it in the theater, which is, I'm still jealous.
Yeah.
You got to see a screening of that movie. That's really cool.
That was great.
So I heard Ben Pack at Giant Bomb talking about on Twitter how good the game Celeste is. I've talked about it before. Towerfall, how much I love that game. These are the same developers as that. It's or same developer maybe. Matt Makes Games. Towerfall, cool. I think was just one. Towerfall was the one game that Ouya had. That was, everyone was like, "Damn, Towerfall is the shit," and then it went everywhere, and everyone's like, "Yes, that game's amazing." And this is in the same engine, but it's not the same style of game. Celeste is one of the best games I've ever played. I heard that it was those developers, and I heard enough people talking about it positively. It's gotten 10s a lot of places. IGN gave it a 10 out of 10. It's a brutally hard platformer.
Cool.
And it is very clever. You won't see any backlash because I didn't know this, but they do have a slider that if you're in game, you can knock back the difficulty by like slowing it down and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which, okay, that's fine. It was so perfectly balanced as far as being clever, and it's like they made a game for me, is how it felt, just for my preferences.
Cool.
You have 3 mechanics. You can jump, and you can grab onto walls, and you can move left and right. Like that's it. And it stays fresh the whole way through because the environment changes in ways that make you use those mechanics in really cool ways. I'll eventually stream it. I didn't want to stream it while I was playing through it because it was so hard. I didn't want to get stuck somewhere and be frustrated on the stream.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I know I can get through it, I'd like to play that game. The soundtrack is incredible. One of the songs, though, it's a redone version of the 28 Days Later theme song.
Okay.
Like, to a point where it's like, that can't be legal. I hope they paid the rights for that. And I was watching Day 9 play it, and there were a lot of people in his stream commenting about it, so I wasn't the only one that heard it. But the only real criticism I have of the game is the difficulty for the game is a metaphor for struggles with depression and anxiety.
Okay.
And there are dialogue between characters in the game, and it's like they don't trust the audience to understand at all the subtlety of the game as a metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
So it tells you, like, you go through this really long, amazing gameplay section, and then there's just this blunt dialogue like, hey, if you didn't pick up on the metaphor, here's the metaphor. And you go through this, so then you think this conversation's done, you go somewhere else, and it's like, hey, if you didn't catch that this is a metaphor, here's the metaphor. I'm going to explain it to you again. It was just really jarring the way that it just could have been much more subtle. And it was like they didn't give the audience credit for realizing that could happen. But I bought it on the Switch, and it was $20, and I would highly recommend playing it on... I hear the PC port's good. The Switch is excellent. So I have to imagine the PC and... or the PS4 and Xbox versions are also very good. I would have to guess. Dustin, you would love this game.
Yeah, I didn't see any physical copies available. That's a bummer.
Yeah, I think it's digital only as of right now. Keeping out for limited run games to make 2,000 or something.
So I still won't have one, is what you're saying.
You will never have a physical copy of this game. But, yeah, whatever your platform of choice, at bare minimum, put it in your wish list. I have a hard time... I mean, I truly enjoyed it as much as I did Super Meat Boy and Cuphead. It really is up there with... Somehow it managed to make me feel like I was just at the breaking point of my skill level.
Cool.
Ori and the Blind Forest is another one. But since that's more Metroidvania, I don't really count it, I guess. But that's got brutally difficult stuff, too. And it just... You got to get good, Dustin. That's all there is to it. So, yeah. That's it for what I've been playing. Go by Celeste. So, Dustin, we screwed up a little bit. We forgot to read comments from Dumez from a couple episodes ago. So let's get through some of these, and then we'll call it a show. So I'll read the filthy keyboard comments if you want to read the hippie perspective comments.
Hippie perspective. I think I already have those up. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Cool.
So I'll start. So 2 episodes ago, episode 261, Dumez says, he says, when you rip your vinyl, do not record at just 4,800 hertz. He says, record it at the max sample rate that your sound card can support. If you keep the file format and down convert at the same sample rate, you have the max quality possible, since you are capturing an analog source with the most amount of data, the better. Then save it as a FLAC file, and there will be 0 quality loss. He also says the biggest... I can't remember if I remember reading these on show. I apologize if we've read these. I don't think we've read these on air. I think I've just read them. He said the biggest and most massive question mark situation ever is the fact that Nintendo did not ever make a Mario game for the Game Boy Advance. Wario doesn't count, and remakes don't count. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, it is kind of crazy, because they've got their own Zelda games. It wouldn't Minish Cap GBA? Yeah,
I think there might have been a couple.
Spirit Tracks, I think, also maybe GBA, or maybe that's DS. Yeah. I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
He also says, regarding retro cables for the PS2, he says, I don't understand the PS2 natively supports component by default unless their cables output 240p magically somehow instead of 480i, or is this a typo? I think he gets that in a little bit. He said, "Oh, silly Scott, you said these retro HD cables for your RGB needs, but alas, they are YPBPR, actually not RGB. Silly mistake anyone could have made." He said, "Rookie move," and he's teasing me a little bit. I think I have said this before. I can never remember YPBPR. I just can't remember that. I do know that I'm going to say RGB. It's like saying Kleenex or Xerox. It's hard.
Right.
RGB means not composite. Means not fuzzy. It's so Dumez, I apologize if that's going to be grading, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to change. He also says, quick tech correction for Scott and Co. He said you had quickly mentioned a small slot being NVMe, but that's not quite true. He said the slot itself is called an M.2 drive, and that is the type of socket that can either be a PCIe architecture or NVMe architecture. Depending on the motherboard, you must read the manual to see. NVMe is the fastest, but PCIe over M.2 will get you cheaper drives but less performance capabilities. He said, but your board might only support one of these formats. I suspect you might already know this, which, thank you, I did. He said, but I thought I'd clarify for anyone else that was listening. And that's in reference to when I was talking about an SSD from Kingston and the that line that they had sent us. He also says, I'm very Oh, okay, that's too out of context. If you joke, it's not going to make sense. So that's going to be it for that episode's comments. So, Dumez, thank you very much. Also, everyone goes to subscribe to Dumez on YouTube, DUHMEZ. And he also has some feedback for last episode, which is only 3 weeks ago or whatever.
On the hippie perspective, he says, my favorite Castlevania song is the first town theme in Castlevania 2. Revisit it if you have forgotten. Start the game, and you're right there. What is really awesome, the mini bosses did an incredible cover of this song. I'll see if I can find it, and you have to check it out. I can almost remember the title of that off the top of my head, but I can't. I'm like this close. Hey, Dustin, have you dipped into digital at all and checked out the Konami Rebirth games on Wii, Castlevania, Contra, and Gradius? On a side note, this would make an awesome Switch card, all these on one card. I agree.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
A nice little Rebirth collection.
Yeah. I do own Castlevania Rebirth, of course.
Yes.
When I had a Wii, and I never used it, so I sold it, and then they released Castlevania Rebirth, and I rebought a Wii just to play Castlevania Rebirth.
Not surprised.
Shamefully, the only Castlevania games I've beaten are 1, 4, Circle of the Moon on GBA, Adventure Rebirth, and Symphony of the Night. I gotta up my game sometime soon. Yeah. For shizzle. Beat all of them. Pop songs that I love. Lady Gaga, Born This Way. It is fucking great. And Mirror on the Ceiling. One might call me a Gaga fan, but if I only like 2 songs out of all of them, ...
If I like 2 songs by a band, I'll call myself a fan.
Yeah.
There's no shame in liking Lady Gaga. Even if you don't like her music, she's undeniably talented.
Mm-hmm.
That lady can sing.
Agreed. Think of this point this way. I feel very sorry for the Nintendo 64 generation because we all got to grow up with the pinnacle of retro 2D gaming, but these poor Nintendo 64 sods all had to grow up with objectively the shittiest low end of the 3D modern era.
It's like the 64 and the 2600 kids can hang out together.
Yeah. Poor bastards. I want to give Scott props about the PS2 cables. My question I reported on was actually sent out to me by Retro HD team themselves, and I wonder if that was their typo.
I don't know. You can ask them. They'd respond on Twitter.
Oh yeah, they're
Like,
awesome guys on Twitter.
yeah, Nick and Steve are like cool fucking dudes. Very responsive. I asked them a question one time, and Steve took the time to really write a really thoughtful email to me on suggestions on modding a Super Nintendo, which I thought was really awesome and overly nice.
Yeah. Now every once in a while I'll throw them a question like, how about this obscure retro console? Are you gonna make component cables for that? And they're just like, no. Will you leave us alone, please?
It was it was fun to, they're also funny on Twitter. But so for the PS1 adapter thing that we were talking about, Steve made his own board that would allow the factories to test the connectivity of the device as well as the friction. So it was really tough for it's not like he could send out PlayStations to all these factories. So he developed his own little board that he then had manufactured, which allows for easy pinout testing. So you plug the adapter into the board and they can run all the tests that way instead of having to put it into a console itself. And they talk about that on the Retro Roundtable. And I was just like, wow. I'm so, like, that's so cool that you're able to get it done. Not just like, oh, it would be great to have a little board to test it, but to actually know how to go about getting that produced appropriately is really impressive and cool.
I wonder how did he learn how to do that?
I mean, I went to school. They're engineers.
Yeah. I was wondering, like, what classes did he take? I would love to just like go to some college somewhere and just buy those books and just read those books,
or listen to their podcast. And there you go. Too. It's quite. You feel smarter when you're done. Like, it's really. We had also talked about Renee was the one that DB Electronics on that podcast. He was the one that put out that blog post that was like, hey, these flash carts are probably going to lower the life of your Genesis. But is that a fraction of a percent or 50%? I don't know. But the voltages are a little wonky. And that was actually brought up in an interview that I saw on My Life in Gaming with Kevtris. Kevtris is the one that did the Super Nintendo, this Super NT. He designed the FPGA. He also, like, he's known. He's a wizard. I lost my train of thought, but yeah. Chemtress is great, and HU Retrovision is great, so we'll leave it there.
Books.
Go watch YouTube lectures, but nonetheless. Oh yeah, Kevtris. I brought it back around. My Life in Gaming asked Kevtris about the potential of flashcart voltages and the Super NT, and he's like, "That's not a problem."
Okay.
It's just it's. So if My Life in Gaming is covering it and it's getting it, it's what a. You can like see the Kevin Bacon connections if you're on the outside, like we are looking at it.
Yeah,
it's neat. It's cool. Like, I hear Giant Bomb drop Kevtris's name, like you should just know who it is by now because he's done so many of these things. It's like, wow, what a world, you know. It's cool. So, all right, what else we got from Demez?
He says, when I was a youngster, I did not fall for the Virtual Boy hype. I recognized first off that it was clearly 3D Boy and not virtual at all. Maybe it would have been better if marketed as 3D Boy instead of virtual.
Not a bad idea. And I mean, we've had people talk to us before about it being a prototype. Essentially, that's what Gunpei Yokoi viewed it as and was, was forced out.
They should have done. They should have stuck to the guns and released the Virtual DS instead of the 3DS.
Demez is right. They learned their lesson. They called it the 3DS.
But it was also the 90s. Everything was virtual.
That's true.
Do you remember the top 5 Virtual Boy games in Nintendo Power Magazine, but there was only like 12 or 14 games?
Would they end up with like 30 or so?
I think so.
I think the catalog is like 30-something.
And that's if you can track down Waterworld, which is only released in like Europe or some nonsense.
And the Rock'em Sock'em Robots, whatever that is really tough. Mighty Punch'em Force or something. I don't know. It's bugging me. I don't know that off the top of my head.
Scott, talking about your haircut and your looks, I gotta say you look like Alex Kidd with them giant ears. If only your hair was a little darker. Check out Alex Kidd between stages when he is eating the rice cake.
I did. He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
I sound like Justin Long, and I look like a Pac-In Master System game. What were you gonna say?
Be worse.
Could be worse. It could be worse. I'd rather look like Alex Kidd than Patton Oswalt, and I get Patton Oswalt a lot.
Yeah, I can see that. That you wouldn't want to be seen as Patton Oswalt. I don't think you look like Patton Oswalt.
I can see it a little bit.
I mean, you're both white guys.
So that pretty much makes us. See, I'm not rich though, so.
Ah, right.
I got some work to catch up. I do. There are things that like I adore about Patton Oswalt, and there are things that drive me insane about that guy.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
I loved him in. What the hell was that?
King of Queens, Suspense. He was funny there.
That ping pong movie with Christopher Walken in it.
Oh shit! Balls of Fury.
Fury, yes, he was good in that.
Some of his stand-up specials have been really good. He's got a comedy album that I can't remember the name of it, but I think is excellent beginning to end. His impromptu Star Wars crossover rant before Star Wars was as insane as it is right now. He did like a filibuster on the set of like Parks and Rec that I really enjoyed. This is cool. All right, so Zarek's going for. I'm a little lost here. Can you make sense of?
He is using that Google Translate.
Okay.
On the video that I did last night.
Oh, okay.
And he tried using it real time, and it didn't work very well. He said it translates much better when you take a picture and asks to process it. Translated your recruiting Sypha as, "Is that so? I will probably stick to you as much as possible. Pleased to meet you."
That feels really good.
That feels close, yeah. The first thing she said was, "Thank you for helping me. I am Wahahaha Hans Cypher. It is almost impossible to mingle." Sorry if I cut off some text. It was impossible to hunt down. So maybe it was almost impossible to hunt down, not mingle.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing.
Okay. She asks, "Do you do this? Take me, or it cannot be helped?" The solution is to do the photo option. It's translating much better that way. Google Translate app. Give it a try on your next Famicom stream. I'll definitely do that.
That'd be great, dude. That's a clever idea. Like, hold on, I'll let you guys know what that is. I wonder if the YouTube, like the closed captioning feature, would almost work in that way. If there would be some way that it could do that eventually. That's pretty cool, the closed captioning feature, where you can have it so it only does like Japanese subtitles. There was that no-clip documentary on Final Fantasy XIV, and it just blew my mind how well that worked.
Huh.
Like, Danny O'Dwyer didn't have to do the Japanese translation. He just got to turn on the YouTube Japanese-only subtitles. So it was really
cool.
I'm not surprised to hear the results that Zarek's getting. But I still am blown away by the results that he's getting. Does that make sense? Yeah. Cool. We got anything else that we've missed from Demez?
We got one more.
Okay.
He says, the coolest challenge is the Final Fantasy single character White Mage Challenge. To do it, make 4 white mages, but only one is allowed to attack. Go out, grind out imps until the other 3 are dead. You can't revive them. You're not allowed to upgrade to White Wizard. Now beat the game on OG Kart.
Look, that's hardcore. That seems way more difficult than a no sword run.
Yeah.
And Zelda. Very cool. All right, well, dumbass, thanks for writing in, man, and I apologize for forgetting an episode's worth of comments 2 weeks ago. It was not intentional. Just lost my mind there. That's going to be it for the show this week. Dustin, any final thoughts before we wrap things up?
Oh, good to be back.
It is good to be back. So thank you to anybody listening. Goodbye, Podbean. Welcome to whoever we end up with next. I want to thank Ben Landis very much for letting us use his song Through the Forest. All of our audio podcasts are available at our website, classicleet.com. Our RSS feed address is there as well. But you can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. On social media, if you use our name, Classic Leet, Classic L337, you can find us Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Also, that's our email address, classicleet@gmail.com. And with YouTube, if you leave a comment on the video, we will read it on the podcast if you'd like. Also, if you'd like to support the show, please leave us a rating or a thumbs up, anything like that. And we also have Amazon affiliate links in the descriptions of our videos and our podcast. So if you go to our storefront and then end up purchasing something while you're just at Amazon, it doesn't even have to be from our storefront, you will be helping the show. Our storefront is amazon.com/shop/classicleet. For outro music this week, I mentioned at the top of the show we were going to do some Cubby again. This is the second song that he's released from the album that he's going to put out March 10th. It's called Taiga is the album name. This song is called Antlers. So I'm guessing Taiga is, I believe it is like winter or ice or something like that, or snow. And his previous album was Ember. So it's kind of like fire and maybe water. So there's probably going to be like a Captain Planet collection by the time he's all said and done.
That'd be awesome.
But the album's excellent. It's available right now on SoundCloud, but at Cubby's Bandcamp page, you can pre-order the album. So I would highly recommend you do that because he's awesome. So yeah, everybody, I hope that you enjoy this song, and we want to thank you very much for your patience while waiting for us to record episode 236. And we'll see you next week for episode 263 and a third. No, we'll do 264.
Boosh.
All right. Okay. Well, that's going to be it for the stream. Jim, thanks for stopping by. If you're still here, Zarek, always a pleasure, my man. And good to see Ken as well, and Silver Fang. It's been a while, but good to see you.
Thanks for stopping by, guys.
Absolutely. Well, everyone have a wonderful night, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Peace.